Nipsey came by, we had lunch. We wasn't even talking about music, we was just talking about family, entrepreneurship, property, our kids. It was just a real good vibe, good energy.
Hussle had DJ Khaled in the hood, and Hussle frontline that, and you know, we felt like certain people didn't like that.
Fat Joe birthday and Pistol Pete's birthday. Pistol, Fat Joe, Pistol Pete, the whole team out here flowing, Nori, Big U.
In March 2019, Nipsey Hussle brought DJ Khaled to the Rollin' 60s neighborhood to shoot the music video for their collaboration Higher. Sadly, this would end up being Nipsey's final music video, as he was killed just a few days later. According to official reports, the reason behind Nipsey's death was a conversation he had with Eric Holder, where he allegedly told him he was gaining a reputation as a snitch. That exchange reportedly triggered Holder and led to the shooting. But as time went on, many began to believe that wasn't the full story. Rumors started circulating that some older gang members weren't happy Nipsey had brought DJ Khaled to the 60s without getting Big U's permission. Word is, they even tried to shut the set down. That situation stirred up tension. Another piece of the story that's been talked about a lot is DJ Khaled's supposed betrayal. After Nipsey's death, Khaled did a lot to honor him. He dedicated the song to Nipsey, donated all the proceeds to Nipsey's kids, shouted him out in his Grammy acceptance speech, and even brought Nipsey's family on stage.
Nipsey Hussle's family, Black Sam, Nipsey's kids. This is incredible, man. Thank you so much. Nipsey Hussle, this is for hip-hop.
But later, Khaled was seen hanging out with Big U, the same person Nipsey allegedly stood up to on Khaled's behalf and possibly lost his life because of it.
Fat Joe birthday and Pistol Pete's birthday. Pistol, Fat Joe, Pistol Pete, the whole team out here flowing, Nori, Big U.
Some people believe Khaled folded under pressure and got scared, saying he might have been extorted by Big U and now has no choice but to appear in videos with him. People like Loose Cannon have even claimed that Big U did in fact extort Khaled.
I ran up on Khaled and you got his number that day. Then, after the Nip passed, you start hanging out with him. Facts.
Black Sam, Nipsey's brother, has spoken on the situation too. He mentioned how Nipsey bringing Khaled to the hood turned into a serious issue. Once Big U found out, things reportedly escalated. It's said that Big U sent a group of Rollin' 60s members to press Nipsey, but Nipsey stood firm and didn't back down.
Hussle had DJ Khaled in the hood, and Hussle frontline that, and you know, we felt like certain people didn't like that.
Nipsey was also concerned about safety. Reports say he hired 10 armed police officers for protection during the video shoot, out of fear that someone might try to kill him on set. Security was tight, with concerns that someone could sneak onto the location. The production team also pushed to shut down the entire parking deck where the shoot was happening, filming on the top 2 floors while still allowing some vehicles below. In the end, the shoot wrapped up smoothly, but just days later, Nipsey Hussle would tragically lose his life. Wack 100, but besides Black Sam, other insiders have also come forward and pointed fingers at Big U, suggesting he may have had something to do with Nipsey Hussle's death. Take Wack 100 for instance. He claimed that Big U had asked him to pretend like his contracts had been sold to Wack, so that Big U could go after Nipsey's estate and secure 30% of it.
Big U, did you not ask me to act like your contracts were sold out to me? You wanted me to go attack Nipsey's estate after his death for 30%.
This is not going how I planned.
No, that. Paul, you want me to show you my phone?
No, I don't.
You want to see?
Wack 100 also backed up Loose Cannon when Loose shared a story about speaking to Nipsey shortly before the shooting. At the time, Loose didn't really think much of what Big U had said. He brushed it off.
You don't even warn him that you got that call from dude.
No, because their relationship was so up, it'd be like they be hot one minute, then they be cold the next minute.
That detail alone makes it seem like Big U may have slipped up by reaching out too soon, right before Nipsey was killed.
You
and
just
30 minutes after you get out the phone with Nip, he get killed.
Yeah, I got it.
So you think he hit you a little too early?
Yup, he hit me a little bit too early.
That's also why a few of the people Big U initially blamed before turning himself in were Wack 100 and Loose Cannon. In a video Big U posted, he said, "I just want to say this. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack 100. Wack, Loose Cannon, 600 and this internet stuff. All of y'all foul."
When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack. Wack, Loose Cannon, 600, and this internet stuff. All of y'all foul.
Big U even went as far as accusing Wack 100 of cooperating with the feds. "If you had something against a black man, handle it with a black man in the streets," he said. Wack said 100 times he was going to take my contracts. He working with the FBI. The FBI went to the city 3 days in a row and told the city they didn't want nobody to give me no more money. Wack 100, however, denied all of it. Just a day after Big U surrendered, Wack called the alleged crime boss a monster, saying, "Ish ain't got nothing to do with Wack." He also refuted claims that he'd been circulating legal paperwork online. "It seems to me like I've been threatening the paperwork. Wack ain't said nothing," he added.
So let's talk about who we need to pray for. You a monster. That's what you is. Got nothing to do with Wack. It seemed to me like I've been threatening the paperwork. Wack ain't said nothing. I don't give a
Wack also addressed the accusation that he knew ahead of time about the raids on his homes. His response was to mock Big U. Another person that has spoken about this is Charleston White. Charleston has outright said Big U was the one behind Nipsey's death. According to him, Nipsey refused to keep paying Big U for so-called protection, and that didn't sit well. One theory Charleston pushed is that Nipsey was killed because he stopped playing the extortion game.
Everybody know Big U and Nipsey had an argument, homie. Everybody know Big U was shaking Nipsey Hussle down, making him pay protection fee, sorta.
Another angle is that Nipsey simply got too big. Even though Big U was a powerhouse in the streets, Nipsey's rise meant all the attention shifted away from Big U. And in gang culture, nobody's allowed to be bigger than the gang, so they had to get rid of him.
Wasn't nobody screaming Big U till he had to get the little homie out the way. It was Nip, Nip, Nip. It wasn't you, Big U.
Thankfully, to the relief of many Nipsey Hussle fans, Big U is currently behind bars, facing some serious and wild accusations. In fact, Nipsey isn't the only artist Big U is rumored to have taken out over some of the pettiest reasons imaginable. The most recent name tied to that same pattern is Rayshawn Williams, another artist Big U was managing before he ended up dead too. Back in 2021, Big U started a record label called Unique Music and signed up-and-coming rappers from the West Coast. One of them was Rayshawn Williams. But somewhere along the line, things got messy.
Mr. Henley engaged in a murder of a musician signed to his label in 2021 and dumped the victim's body.
It's not exactly clear what sparked the tension between them, but what we do know is that Rayshawn ended up dropping a diss track aimed at Big U, and that may have cost him his life.
They do say that part of the investigation involves the murder of another young rapper back in Las Vegas. That the murder was over, are you ready for this? A diss. That he had written something in a song supposedly talking bad about Big U, and that is why he ended up getting murdered.
Big U actually knew Rayshawn since he was a kid. In fact, he was Rayshawn's football coach back in the day. After suffering a serious injury that ended his hopes of playing college football when he was apparently being recruited by UCLA, Rayshawn's sports career came to a stop. By 2018, he was no longer on the team. During high school, Rayshawn had actually lived with Big U and his family for a short time. But things went south when Rayshawn allegedly stole a chain from Big U's son and wore it to school. After that, Big U kicked him out of the house. Still, even after that fallout, Big U supposedly kept supporting Rayshawn as he tried to figure out what to do next in life. After football was no longer an option, Rayshawn turned to music and began rapping under the name Young Judah. In May 2020, he started teasing a project called Golden Dreams, which officially dropped in June of that year. The name itself showed how much hope he had for making it big in music. At first, his music wasn't getting much attention. He would post snippets of songs on Instagram, but they weren't really catching on. In one track, he called himself Ray Hustle, which many saw as a nod at Nipsey Hussle. As time passed, Rayshawn seemed to get better at rapping, even experimenting with auto-tune and emotional, pain-driven tracks. Even though he hadn't blown up in the music world yet, he was already living like a star, posting pictures in fancy houses and taking trips to Las Vegas. But behind the scenes, things were getting messy between him and Big U. According to reports, Big U was paying for Rayshawn to travel to Las Vegas and record music. But instead of focusing on his music, Rayshawn was allegedly spending his time doing other things. Then came the diss track. According to the criminal complaint, Rayshawn recorded a song where he threw serious shade at Big U. In the song, he called Big U a bro that made some money, making it seem like Big U wasn't really all that powerful. But the part that really raised eyebrows was when Rayshawn rapped, "This song can get me killed for thinking-ish funny." Even more disturbing, he mentioned getting shot in the face with a .38 revolver that would leave no trace.
Referring to Big U as bro that makes some money. And that unnamed rapper may get shot in the face for thinking that his use of the studio and representation by Unique Music is funny.
Only 5 days after posting that track, Las Vegas police found Rayshawn's body in a ditch. He had been shot in the face with a revolver. Now, many believe that the diss track was what sealed his fate, and according to law enforcement, Big U is a top suspect. They believe he might have pulled the trigger himself.
But the track was eerie given what happened next. Just days later, the rapper was shot in the face.
According to official court records, Big U's music label, Unique Music, arranged for Rayshawn Williams to travel from California to Las Vegas in January 2021. The plan was for Rayshawn to stay in Vegas for a week and focus on making new music. They even booked an Airbnb for him to stay in while he was there and scheduled studio time for him to record songs. But things didn't go according to plan. Rayshawn ended up missing one of the studio sessions, and that raised red flags. Big U and his close associate, Sylvester Robinson, decided to drive all the way to Las Vegas themselves to check up on him. When they arrived at the Airbnb, they asked Rayshawn why he skipped the session, and he told them it was because he didn't have a ride to the studio. The very next day, all three of them, Rayshawn, Big U, and Sylvester, finally went to the studio together. Nobody knows for sure what happened while they were inside, but later that night, something terrible went down.
On January 24th of 2021, Big U arrived to a studio and RW was there, recording until around midnight. A little after 12:30 a.m., Big U left the studio and his phone stopped reporting his location.
Surveillance cameras caught Rayshawn coming back to the Airbnb around 1 a.m. In the footage, you can see him getting out of the car, picking up his suitcase, and then getting back into the same car. He was originally supposed to stay in Vegas for one more day, but it looks like Big U had different intentions. According to what investigators found out, Big U allegedly drove Rayshawn far out into the desert, shot him in the face, and left his body in a ditch. After that, he reportedly went back to the studio like nothing had happened.
About 45 minutes later, surveillance video at the Airbnb showed RW exiting the passenger side of the car and entering the Airbnb. A few minutes later, he left the Airbnb with a suitcase, got back into the car, and left. RW wasn't seen again. He wasn't even supposed to leave Vegas until the next day, but he never returned to the Airbnb. Instead, his body was found on the side of the road near Interstate 15.
A witness later told police that Big U showed up at the studio again around 3 a.m. He looked like he had just come from a gym. He was completely soaked, either from sweat or water. When someone at the studio asked him what happened, Big U said he had just finished working out. But just a few hours later, the truth started to come out when police discovered Rayshawn's lifeless body dumped in a remote ditch outside the city. What's even more shocking is what Big U allegedly did next. According to the indictment, he tried to cover his tracks. He reportedly removed some recording equipment from the studio that might have had evidence of what happened that night. He also told someone to delete the security camera footage from the studio. Investigators think that there might have been a fight between Rayshawn and someone else inside the studio before the murder, which could be why Big U wanted the footage erased, so no one would know what really went down.
Witnesses told detectives an associate of Big U removed the video recording equipment from the studio a few days after the homicide, including video that would have shown RW and Big U at the studio before he was murdered.
But that's not all. After Rayshawn was killed, Big U started acting like he was trying to stay one step ahead of the police. According to the investigation, he had one of his close friends drive around in his car and even stay at his house. That way, if the police were watching his home or trying to track his car, they would think he was still there, giving Big U time to get away before they could actually arrest him. But things have gotten even messier now that a whole new reason is starting to spread about why Big U might have wanted Rayshawn gone. And this one is wild. Word is, Big U may have killed Rayshawn because of Rayshawn's alleged relationship with Big U's own son, Dayan Henley. According to this version of the story, Rayshawn and Dayan were supposedly more than just friends. Back when Rayshawn was still playing football, he and Dayan, who would later go on to play in the NFL for the LA Chargers, were tight. That's reportedly how they got close in the first place. A lot of people feel like the story about Rayshawn being killed just for a diss doesn't add up. If people were getting killed for dissing others, then half the music industry would be gone by now. So many believe there must be more to it. Some have even gone back to watch old videos of die-in, saying they now notice things they didn't before, like certain mannerisms they believe seem suspect or feminine. People are saying that if the rumors are even partly true, it would make sense why Big U might have wanted to get rid of Rayshawn, especially if he felt like Rayshawn had something over him or could embarrass him by exposing a relationship with his son. If Rayshawn really had that kind of control, and Big U felt threatened by it, that might have pushed him to act. And if that's even a little bit true, then this story is way more twisted than anyone imagined. Another artist that Big U is allegedly linked to in connection with a killing, though not many people know about it, is Sandman Negus. Sandman was a first-generation Eritrean American who grew up deep in the dime block section of the Rollin' 60s territory. His family and Nipsey's family were close. In fact, their parents knew each other well, so Sandman and Nipsey had known each other since they were kids.
Me and Sandman, we bros on many levels. Come from the turf, day one. Come from back home, same place I'm from, we got the same ethnicity. Oh yeah, tell us about that. Yeah, you know, we descend from East Africa, that's where our family come from.
Even though Sandman wasn't officially jumped into the set, he was respected as an honorary member because he was from the neighborhood and was embraced by the people there. He worked at his family's gas station, a place known in the area as Club Shell, where a lot of 60s used to hang out. Before Nipsey got his full push from Big U and the Unique Music Entertainment label, Sandman was actually the first artist that Big U was developing. He had talent and was beginning to gain attention for his music.
Sandman Negus, coming at you. Got next. No, you got now.
But before long, things took a dark turn. One night after leaving the studio and dropping a friend off, Sandman was ambushed in traffic. He was shot through the front windshield of his car, hit 9 times in total. Bullets tore through his colon, liver, both lungs, his shoulders, neck, and more. Somehow he survived, though he was in a coma for 26 days and had to go through 8 surgeries just to recover. Despite the trauma, Sandman bounced back and poured all his focus into music. He and Nipsey would talk strategy, figuring out how to grow his name and push his mixtapes. He started building a real buzz in South LA's underground scene. But sadly, that momentum was cut short. On September 27, 2012, just 4 years after the first shooting, Sandman was killed at the age of 26 on the 4300 block of Crenshaw Boulevard, not far from Big U's studio. After his death, a lot of speculation started flying around about who was behind the shooting. Multiple gangs were mentioned, including the Rollin' 60s. People felt like the whole situation around his death was fishy. According to court records, earlier that day there was a clash between some 4 Trey gangster Crips in 40s at the McDonald's on Crenshaw. One of the 4 Trey members involved was a dude named Oliver. After getting punched in the face, Oliver and his crew headed back to their hood to regroup. About an hour later, they came back near the same McDonald's and drove into an alley, where Oliver allegedly fired a shot over the roof of their car. That shot ended up fatally hitting Sandman. 6 days after the shooting, Oliver sent a text that raised even more eyebrows. He wrote, "Nah, Shanika just called me talking about I got to leave LA. Everybody knows she said she wanna meet with me and talk, but I'ma just tell her about the fight, not the shooting." Then, just a week after that message, he changed his phone number. 2 months later, Oliver Goodridge was arrested and eventually found guilty of first-degree murder. He got sentenced to 50 years to life. But Sandman's family wasn't satisfied with the outcome. According to court records, Sandman wasn't even involved in the McDonald's fight, and he wasn't there when Oliver got punched. That's what really made people start talking. On the streets, the word was that Big U and the Rollin' 60s might have had a hand in Sandman's murder. A lot of people even started comparing Sandman's story to Nipsey's.